Okay, I sent you the link to the YouTube channel on the chat window. Okay, but because I only see 3 of you there. Okay. Okay, so let us now start the lesson. So we learned how to solve systems of 2 equations in 2 unknowns. Most of the systems we talked in the book is talking about are linear systems. Linear systems means that the simplest possible systems, that you have the powers of your unknowns to be equal to 1. Of course, if you remember in the previous session, I also solved a little bit harder problem. I will give you some exercises might be today about those, but my mind is to solve these 2 problems and talk about the system of 3 equations in 3 unknowns, and see that would be the last part of this chapter. Okay, so if you remember when I was talking about equations in 1 unknown, we had also some word problems. Yes, we need to read the problem and set up the equation ourselves and then solve the equation to answer the problem. Yes, so this is also the same if I have more equations. Yes, so these are word problems. You will probably get one of these at least in the exam. So you need to, the difference is that this is something written in language, and I don't know, here in English, and then you need to set up your system and then solve it. That's it. And these are not very hard problems. Yes. So here the 10th digit of a 2-digit number is 1. 1 more than 3 times the units digit. If the sum of the digits is equal to 9, find the number. Okay, something like that. Yes? Yes?
What is a 10th digit?
10th digit means if you have, I don't know, 23, 2 is called the 10th digit, and 3 is the units digit. Okay, so here I want to solve this problem. So what can I do? You see that I have 2 unknowns, yes? Because I'm facing a 2-digit number. For example, you can assume that your 2-digit number is x, y. So let us assume that my 2-digit number is this one. But of course, in algebra, if you write x, y, people read it as x times y. But when I write 23, I mean 23. I don't mean 6, yes? So because of that confusion, in some books, they have this convention that they put a bar on it. Yeah, this is especially number theory books. So you see, it means that don't get confused. This is not a product. This is a 2-digit number, yes? X is the 10th digit and Y is the units digit. That's anyway, you don't need to worry about the conventions here. But anyway, you can say that I am looking for a 2-digit number. And let me read the information provided for me in the problem. The 10th digit of a 2-digit number means X is 1 more than 3 times the units digits. So it's very easy, yes? By reading this English sentence, you can write it in mathematical symbols. What does it mean? Can you tell me? X is equal to what? 1 more than 3 times the units digit. What does it mean? X is equal to 3x plus 3 y. 3y. 3y plus 1. This is one piece of information. By reading that sentence, I will understand that if the sum of the digits is 9, what does it mean? Very simple. If x plus y is equal to 9, You are supposed to find your number. Yeah, as simple as that. This is up to you. If you have learned so far, we have two methods for solving a system of two equations in two unknowns. First of all, let me review a little bit. So what is this one? This is one equation, this is another equation, and this is a system of two equations, and x and y are your unknown. Two equations in two unknowns. I told you that this curly bracket sits for which letter, which conjunction, which word? I don't know how to say it. It's called conjunction, yes? Do you know conjunction? And, or, these are called conjunctions, yes? So this is sitting for
system of equations.
Okay, but what does it mean?
That if the first one happens, the other one also happens.
Not if.
Okay.
So I'm looking for
when
x
the
and
first
y.
happens, the also one.
Yes. So this means this is and. Yes. This curly brackets means and. So this one and this one simultaneously. So now I want to solve this. Which method? Do you remember we talked about two methods for linear systems? One method was called substitution or elimination, and the other one was called addition. Which one do you prefer, Hussein? Yes?
I would prefer substitution.
Yeah, substitution is better, yes? Because it is mentioned that x is equal to that. Okay, so it is better to go to the second equation and replace x with what you see. And then you immediately face. By the way, remember what was the general strategy to tackle systems of equations? Is to reduce the number of unknowns. The reason that this problem is a new problem for us because it contains two unknowns. Okay, we already know how to solve equations in one unknowns, but the problem here, I have two equations in two unknowns. The main strategy, you need to think in this way. The main strategy, whatever it is, you should probably discover sometimes yourself what to do. The strategy is to eliminate one of these variables to keep one. This is the grand strategy you should have in mind. Yes, of course, this problem you can. I don't like very simple problems because this limits your imagination. But in this problem, the goal is to eliminate one of these variables in favor of the other variable. Then you will have a problem, an equation with one single unknown, and then in principle you should know how to solve it. Yes. So let us just do this. Instead of this x, I put this. So it becomes 3y plus 1. If you want, you can put a pair of brackets, even though it's not necessary in this case. And then I have a y at the end, and equals to 9. So is it a successful process? Yes, because now I have one equation with one unknown, and in principle, I know how to solve that. So let us just do it in our head. So this is the arrow. You see, I'm going horizontally because this is equality. But yeah, this is equality. I want to get something new. This is why I put arrows. Okay, so here 3y plus y is 4y, and then this is y. This is 1 equals to 9, and then you know what to do. You move 1 to the right. What is the answer? It's 8, and then you want to make y alone, so you divide by 4. So your y that you are looking for is y equals to 2. Even though you can put this 2 in this equation, usually, if of course this is so simple, that might be this is also good. So what is x? The sum is supposed to be 9, so x is 7. If you don't want to put it in the second equation, you can also put it in the first equation. And then you see again the same story. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7 again. So which means that it doesn't matter. Yes, where do you put it? For example, let me choose the first one. So x is equal to 3 times 2 plus 1. So this means that my x that I am looking for is 7. But what you need to write for the answer this time, what is wanted in the problem? Find a number. So x and y are not what are demanded. Even we don't know what are x and y in the problem. We just put the name x and y for those digits. So it means that what should I write as the answer? 72. Yes? This is what you have to provide as the answer to this problem. Okay, so you see that this is the same story. The previous problem, this was given to you directly. You were supposed to solve. Here, you need to read the text, set up your equation, system of equation, and try to solve it. That's the story. Okay. Now let us go to the next problem. Okay. So a motel rents double rooms at 1,000 crowns per day and single rooms at 750 crowns per day. Okay. If 20 rooms were rented one day for a total of 21,000 crowns, how many rooms of each kind were rented? Okay, so you need to read the question, set up your equation, set up your system of equations, and try to solve it. Okay. My recommendation is usually you can read the problem more than once usually, and I would say that go to the last sentence and see what the question is about. How many rooms of each kind? So there are 2 rooms, double rooms and single rooms. I want to see how many rooms I want. I usually prefer to use a variable which I don't need to review more and more. For example, I would say I would put D for double rooms. I will put S for single rooms. It is easier to remember than X and Y. Of course, it doesn't matter. Yes. So let us write this question in this way. So I would say let D be the number of double rooms rent. By the way, you should write in principle these things for me, because capital D, do you see any track of capital D in the problem? No. I am bringing it in. Might be it is natural, we are not robots, we understand what do I mean by D in this context, but this doesn't mean that you shouldn't write it down. If you want to write it properly, you have to introduce any variable that you bring in the problem and it is not already mentioned in the problem. So that's crucial, especially when writing articles in the future. When you want to write something, you shouldn't consider that people that they are in your head, they understand what you write. Even though it's natural, you have to express it. So I would say that D is the number, this means the number of double rooms rented. So let me write S, the number of single rooms rented, yes? Something like this in your own language. You have to introduce the symbols that you are using. Even in the previous problem, I have to introduce what I mean by X and Y, okay? Now, let me read the question. A motel rents double rooms at that price per day and single rooms at that price if 23 rooms were rented. So this is easier to set up something for it. So what do you understand by reading that sentence? If 23 rooms were rented. So what should I write? Yes?
D plus S equals 23.
23, yes. Okay. So this we know. There are 23 rooms rented per day. And we know something more. We know that the total money earned by that motel, lucky that motel, yes, 21,000 crowns is too much for one day, isn't it? So anyway, so probably I should run a motel than teaching mathematics, yes? So anyway, so here, how should I set up an equation using this piece of information? Can you just tell it to me by reading the problem? Yes?
I was thinking like 750 single S plus, 1,000 in parentheses, 23 minus D maybe.
Yes. So 7, yes, and that is 1,000. D, do you agree this is the total money earned by this motel? Yes, because there are D double rooms, each with this price. So the money that person earned by renting these double rooms is this money.
Exactly.
And then would be the money that this person earns by renting the single rooms. But the total price we know. Of course, this might cheat because of escaping from tax or whatever, but at least we can solve the problem, okay? Now we need to solve this system of equation and then try to find D and S. of course, so what is your suggestion to solve this problem? Yes?
You find an answer for D or S.
Yes? In
And-
terms of the other one?
Exactly. So you could move D to the other side, and then you have an answer.
Yeah,
for
that's
S.
elimination method. But one thing that I want to mention, if I were you, I wouldn't work with these big numbers, okay? If I can simplify the numbers, why not? Of course, you can start with that one. So what you see, this is divisible by 10, this is divisible by 10, this is also divisible by 10, even more than 10, yes? 50 is also a good number, yes? Because if I divide everything by 50, the numbers that I am dealing with becomes smaller. Of course, if you're doing with calculator all the time, you don't need to be worried, okay? But if you want to solve it manually, so it is very important to work with smaller numbers, yes? Is 50 a good number? It might not be the best number, but we can do it in steps, okay? So what I want to do, I want to divide both sides of this equation by 50 first. It doesn't matter at the end. If you don't respect that, you will still get the correct answer. But I want you to develop this habit in your brain. If you want to work with mathematics, it's always important to care about simplification first. So let me divide by 50. Okay, so this one becomes 20D. This one, yes, 15, yes. Am I right? Yes. And then what about this one by 50? What? So this is 21,000. Yes. So if you divide 1,000 by 50, it is 20. And if you divide this by 50, it is what? 400.
420.
Right? So 420, yes?
420.
But still, can I simplify more?
Yes.
So this number is only divisible by 5 and 3. But is this divisible by 5 and 3? Yes. But this one is divisible by 5. So let us divide by 5.
Exactly.
Thank you. So this becomes 4D. It might not be. So in principle, if you start dividing by what? 500, that was also working. Why it is working, by the way? So what I divide first, I divided by 50, yes? Now I am dividing, okay, so if I was smarter to divide by 250, it was also working. But it was not, I don't want to spend that much time to optimize what I'm dividing. I can do it in 2 steps. So I divide by 5, and then it becomes 3s, and I divide by 5. What's that? Think about money. Everyone knows about money.
Thinking about money.
Okay, good. So you have 420 crowns. You want to split it up between your 5 children. Yes. What then?
81.
Divide by 5.
85.
84.
84.
Yes?
84?
Wasn't it? So it is
Yeah, 84.
420.
How did you get 84?
Because you are dividing this by 5, it is 80. And dividing
I
this by...
believe you're correct.
Yeah, okay, so good. So this is 84. Anyway, it is not mandatory, these 2 steps. If you want to tease yourself a little bit by working hard, big numbers, be my guest. But I will always prefer to simplify and then continue. And now I will start solving this problem. Because we have done elimination method to review and recap things, let us do this by addition method this time. Okay, so let me rewrite everything here once more. Okay, so let me just rewrite this equation once more here properly. So I have d plus s is equal to 23, and then I have what? 4d plus 3s is equal to 84. I intentionally want to solve this problem using addition method to review things, okay? So if you want to use addition method, you need to divide, you need to decide about one of the variables to get rid of. I don't know which one do you prefer. Usually the ones with the smaller, yes, with the smaller coefficient. So I would prefer this. So what should I do if I want to use addition method to get rid of s?
You multiply the first one by -3.
3. Thank you very much. So it becomes -3, and then what happens? This becomes -3d minus 3s, and then here it's -69, and then here I have 4d plus 3s equals to 84, and I add them side by side. I want you to understand logic. You need to understand these are plausible steps, not because I'm your teacher, I'm telling you add them side by side. Because if two numbers A and B are equal, C and D are also equal, it's completely logical to conclude that the sum of these two should remain the same. Yes? So I'm using this fact. Okay, so what happens here now? I add -3d to d, very simple. Now it becomes d, and these 3s and that one are gone, so I need to these two. So that is 15. So the number of double rooms rented is 15 rooms, yes? And then it doesn't matter which one of them you use, this one or that one. Of course, this one is simpler, so I replace d here, so it becomes 15 plus s is equal to 23, and then s is equal to what? 8. But this is not the answer, so what you have to provide the answer, I forgot the exact sentence. What was the sentence?
How many rooms of each kind were rented?
Okay. So you should write this in words. So you should write 15 double room and 8 single rooms. So 8 double rooms and 8 single rooms was rented that day. Yes.
But Babak,
Yes.
for that question, do you really have to use a system of equation? Couldn't you just make one equation?
That one equation that you are thinking of, you can talk to me, but that one equation is a combination of these two equations. If this is in the exam, I want you to write it as a system.
Right.
Because in exam, you need to follow these steps. If you are writing one equation, might be that equation you are doing some elimination in your head first. But that elimination is the process of solving a system. So this should be written down properly. When it comes to exam, when it comes to your own calculation, actually I'm suffering a lot writing these things. I will make a lot of mistakes if I write too many. So this is why I'm telling you, try to learn how to do it in your head, okay? Okay, but this is the problem that I wanted to talk about. So you see that solving systems of two equations in two unknowns in this way is very simple. Let me do some more interesting problems, even though I'm not giving you these kinds of questions in the exam because they are, I don't know, they are really underestimating you. These are not hard problems that I want to talk about. Yes?
What if you have 3 unknowns?
Yes, we will reach this today. Okay. And then, of course, you will see this even the linear systems becomes very messy. For example, if you are in electrical engineering, you want to design a circuit, probably you are facing with, I don't know, 1,000 equations in one unknowns. So 1,000 equations, on your unknowns are the currents in each one of those wires. And if you even want to solve that 1,000 equations in 1,000 unknowns, even though they are supposed to be linear without any powers, it is still hard. In principle, it's not hard, but technically it is hard. So you see that there are two problems facing us. There are some problems that we want to deepen our understanding about what's going on, and some problems are really technical. We know what is going on, but we want to design a practical way to do it. Probably sometimes some people are more interested to understand the deeper reality. Some people are more interested to use what other people have discovered to solve practical problems. And I think both of them are needed for our community to survive. Okay. So let us go and solve one or two problems. If you remember, how many of you actually remember? I want to work on your memory. By the way, I want to start not giving you the formula sheet in the exam. What do you think?
I think it's entirely okay.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Make it up. Like
So that is discrimination, isn't it?
No, like you can ask for the formula sheet. So those who don't want it, they.
But if you don't want it and you get a good grade, I should give you a bonus. Yes. I need to design a system because I really hate that one piece of paper. Okay. Okay, but I need, probably that's a good idea to give you some bonus, but that is on your own risk. Because you are not allowed to repeat the test every time that you. So you said, let us say, okay, do this one. If you can do it without the formula sheet, okay, I want you to detach your dependence from this one piece of paper. Yes, this is very, very important. Sooner or later, you have to do it. If you are working here, probably you want to go to the university. I don't know about medical universities that much, but if you want to go to technical universities, you are not allowed to use any formula sheet, at least for the first courses. And there are hundreds of formulas there. So if you don't train yourself from right now, you will face a very big problem, okay? So systems of equations. Now let me give you a system, so I want to wait for you to solve it. This I would write optional, okay? Let me start with simple one, but I want to write something that you cannot immediately guess, because guessing. Okay, so let me write this equation. X times y is equal to 1. Let me start with a very simple one. X plus y is equal to 4. Okay, so this is not in your book. I don't know, it's not hard at all. You will see it's exactly at the level of your math knowledge. But for some reason, this is absent even for math from math 4, math 5, and everything. Okay, so this, yeah, you don't have this kind. You don't, for some reason, a strange reason, you don't study this kind of systems at all. But it's very simple to solve the problem. I have intentionally given you two numbers that you cannot guess, hopefully. Of course, if you are smart, might be you're able to guess. But if I give you this system, might be you can guess, you know? If I give you this system. By the way, let me ask you this. I want to test your understanding.
3 and 6, 3 and 2.
3 and 2, okay? But how many solutions you can guess? So if I ask you this based on guess, based on pure guess, what you said 2 and 3, yes? Which one 2, which one 3? Which one? This is a deep question. Which one 2, which one 3?
Does it matter?
Yes, it matters. So, if you write this in the exam, by the way, x equals to 2, let's choose a word, and or y equals to 3. Which one you choose? And or? And. It's important. Let me ask you one question. Solve this equation. What are the answers?
0 and -1.
0
Oh, sorry, 1 and 1.
and 1. And or?
And
Or.
sorry.
Yes? It's important to understand these things. Because if you say and, it means that x is equal to 0 and is equal to 1. It means that 1 is equal to 0. Okay, if this is going to happen, mathematics is a very powerful, very firm and rigid, robust building, but it cannot tolerate even one single inconsistency. If you can find one single inconsistency, might be all of it will collapse. Okay, so you cannot say and, because you are saying that if I ask you how many solutions are there for this equation, you say there are 2 solutions. One of them is x equal to 0. One of them is x equal to 1, but they cannot happen simultaneously. Okay, so the connective between these 2 statements is or, but the connective between these 2 statements is and. Okay, so be careful about this point first. The second point, do you think that this is complete?
No.
So this, I was answering this question, does it matter if I change this, which one is 2, which one is 3? You have to write this again. Yes?
Yeah.
So it matters. If you just solve, if you write this as the answer, this is not complete yet. Because when I ask you find solve the problem, it means that find all possible values for x and y that simultaneously fit these equations. So it means that one possibility is that choosing x equal to 2 and y equal to 3. So it means that x equals to 2, listen to these, and y equals to 3, or x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. So, okay, so this is the answer that you have provided. Then this will deserve 1 point. For example, if you change a little bit these things, you deserve 0 points. So mathematics is 0, 1, black and white. Okay, so be careful about that. You will appreciate these things if you want to teach a computer to solve something for you. Then you understand how retarded the computer is, because it cannot understand anything unless you properly tell the computer. Properly means precisely and exactly tell what you mean. Otherwise, the computer cannot do it for you. Okay, so that's programming is also very good. Might be we can start some programming next year, but it's also very good to think about how you can program a computer, try to write a code to solve a system of equations. It's not easy at all if you want to do it yourself. Yes?
Well, so do you know a programming language?
A programming language, I don't care about programming languages that much. I use Matematica. Matematica is an advanced, so that, by the way, that Stephen Wolfram is a genius, actually. He's a mathematician, and he has a theory of everything. He's telling that probably the universe is a giant computer calculating everything instantly. So for the next part. So there are some theories that he knows about that, but I'm using Matematica. Matematica Wolfram language I am using. The reason is that most of the things that you want to do, a little bit more advanced one, are already you can use. There are some codes that you can just use them. For example, if you want to arrange a list, I don't know, even in Python and everything, you know about these things. But there are many functions in Matematica that you can use. So I would prefer to use Matematica if my goal is to do computations, which is my goal. But of course, mathematical language actually goes beyond. So he is claiming that you can do, not claiming, just it's asserting that you can do web design, whatever you like using Wolfram language. So that's very good if you start learning them. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you, don't hesitate to write both of them. You have to write both of them if there are two possibilities. Okay? Now, this is not easy to guess. We want to find those numbers. Okay? So we have to systematically solve the equation, the system. But do you remember I told you what is the general strategy to tackle any type of systems that we might face? What is the general strategy? Yes, Rocco? Replacement. So we need to reduce the number of unknowns in one single equation. Yes? Here, I cannot solve it uniquely because there are two unknowns. If I insist and give this to you, how many solutions you find for just one single equation? Infinitely many. Do you remember? This is a line, so I have infinitely many points on the line. All of those points, the x-coordinate and y-coordinate of those points satisfy this one. This is also the same, a little bit more complicated. Okay? So if you draw the graph of this, it would be two branches. But still, I have infinitely many points being on one of them. But when I combine these two, what do I mean, by the way? Can you tell me? How many solutions are there? Yes?
I'm thinking, well, when you put it in a system of equation, this means that if the first one happens, the other one also happens.
So from geometrical point of view, what does it mean? This, so you haven't studied this. I am giving you this information. X, y equals to 1. One branch of it is here, one branch of it here. Both of them together is one shape. Okay? So this is the graph that you will get for this one. Okay? And then probably you should immediately understand what is the graph of this one. What's the graph of this one? Immediately? What's the graph? Come on. Memory weakness.
Straight line.
Straight line, thank you.
Of course.
That's why this, if you don't say this to me, actually I am very, very annoyed. Because I spend a lot of time to tell you that this is an equation of a line. You need to, in a matter of, I don't know, one fraction of a second, you should be able, that's a line. Okay, what's the K value? Immediately. Finished. Yeah, that's the problem. You need to master these. What's the K value? What?
1/4.
What is the K value? I need to dance here, yes? What's the K value? No?
-1.
Minus.
-4.
Because you were supposed to make y alone, you know? So it means that you need to move x to the right. So if you don't like it in this way, you can write it as minus x plus 4. So the K value is -1. What's the M? What is the y-intercept? Yes? 4. So it's 4. So can you have an idea how to draw the graph? Immediately, if you want to draw the graph. How should I draw the graph? It was hard for you to draw the graph. This is why I gave it to you. But it should be a matter of seconds you draw the graph, not exactly a sketch of this graph. You know that this is a line. How many points do I need for a line to draw it?
2.
2. Do you remember? So what's the best strategy? You set up a table, either on the paper, on the whiteboard, or in your head, better. So I put x equal to 0. What is y?
4.
4. And I put y equals to 0. What is x?
4.
4. So it means that these 2 points, yes? 0 and 4 is somewhere here. Even I don't care what that is. But this, I would assume that this is 4. And then I have y equals to 4. Sorry, y equals to 0 and x equal to 4. So this is here. If this is 4, this is also 4. Okay? And now, this is, you see, it's not easy. It's not easy. So you see that it is, the sketch is not good for this. Because if I draw this, if this is the real picture, how many answers you anticipate for this system?
0.
0. Why? Who said 0?
Intersect.
Oh, exactly. So intersections are important. Intersections are important. So it is crazy. It's crucially, a sketch is not good because this bending is important, because I myself don't know exactly what's going on. But of course, I know this will happen because I know more. I know that this point, by the way, it's not very hard for you to understand that. So you see, you need to play around with the concept to learn it. It's not something rigid, you know? Can you tell me, can you give me 1 point of this curve? Do you think that this is a good picture? This is a good sketch for this one and this one, if this is this? Why not? Can you give me a point that you know it is on this curve?
No.
No, this you should know in a matter of seconds. Give me a point that is on this curve. The reason that it takes time from you because you don't analyze it in a correct way. What I am asking you, give a point whose coordinates satisfy this equation. Yes?
1, 1.
1, 1. Was it hard? 1 times 1 is 1, but you didn't answer that. Why? You need to teach yourself why I wasn't able to tell you. This, if you don't appreciate, you should say all the time when you are doing mathematics, aha, crazy I was. You need to tell yourself until you become smarter, okay? Of course, don't suppress yourself too much, okay? But anyway, 1 and 1 should be here. But where is 1 and 1? You see, this is 4. So 1 and 1 should be somewhere here. So the way that I sketched it, it was actually very careless. Yes? So I need a better picture. So it means that this is exactly like that, but it goes from here to here. And this, another one. Can you tell me another one on this branch?
-1, -1.
Thank you. Yes, -1 multiplied by 1 is 1. So it's -1, -1. So if I want to be careful now, I have to draw it in that way. Okay, now you see that how many intersection points you see by this rough sketching?
2.
2. So what you expect, how many answers are there?
2.
2. And of course, from algebraic point of view, could you anticipate that there are 2?
Yes.
Why?
Because there is an x and y.
No, that's not 2, by the way.
Okay.
X and y together is 1 solution. Be careful about that. These are extremely important things. If you give me 1x, 1y, if I ask you how many answers did you give me, you should say 1. A pair of x and y is 1 answer to this. Okay?
Isn't the reason because x and y are interchangeable?
Symmetric. Yes, thank you. So they are symmetric, yes, because if x and y, unless you are so unlucky that x and y become the same number, if x is 2 and y is 2, of course, interchanging them doesn't change anything at all. Okay? But this will not happen here. Why? I am sure that this will not happen here. Why? Why? Because if there is one solution, it means that this line should just touch it, not at 2 points. Just touch it like this, yes? In that case, I have one solution. But I already confirmed that there are 2 solutions, geometrically. But the weakness of geometry here is that it's not capable of giving you the exact values, okay? But we know that we have 2 solutions from geometrical point of view. Now, let us solve it analytically. Could you find the answers? So you see, there were many things hidden in this problem. You need to work in mathematics in a very active way, not passive way. Whatever I tell you, you write it down and memorize it. Okay? So you can start challenging me. I really love that. Okay, try to answer nice questions. Yes, be creative to ask nice questions. Okay? Yes. So let us solve the problem. What is the first method to solve this problem? There is only one grand strategy to tackle any system in your life. Yes. So what should I do? Yes.
Substitution.
So what do you mean by substitution exactly? Can you tell me?
X could be equal to 4 minus y.
So yes. So x is equal to 4 minus y. Okay. And then replace this one. This is good. Why? Because I will get an equation with one unknown. In principle, if you have done your homework up to here, very good, you can solve the problem. Yes? So I would write x as this number. He decided to eliminate x, but you could decide eliminate y. That's up to you. And multiplied by y equals to 1. Then everyone should be able to solve this very easily. Okay? So I multiply this 4, so it becomes 4y minus y squared is equal to 1.
I'm seeing a quadratic formula.
No, not exactly.
Well,
Yes.
you could.
Yeah, you could, of course. You move it to the right-hand side. Yes, it is. You are saying ABC formula. Yes, that's correct. So I move everything to the right. The reason is that why I moved everything to the right, not to the left, I don't know. I learned to make this positive. Yes, be optimistic. Okay, always start with positive. So I move this to the right, it becomes y squared. I move this one to the left, it becomes 4y. And then I have 1 here. And then on the right-hand side, I have a 0, but I'm not a robot. I put 0 on the right. This is the same thing, yes? So now I want to solve this equation. That's up to you. I don't use PQ formula usually. Of course, PQ formula is okay here because this coefficient is 1. PQ formula becomes harder if this is not 1. Then you have to divide. If all of them are even, that's also good because you are not facing fractions. But if they are odd numbers, then you have to work with, I don't know, fractions. So let us solve this problem using ABC formula. So I calculate delta, b squared minus 4ac. So what is b squared is 16. Minus 4 times 1 is minus 4, and it is 12. So 12 is positive. One thing that I want to mention, if you calculate this over and over again and you are not getting faster and faster, this is because you are not appreciating becoming faster and faster. Okay? This is the only reason. If you want to be faster, then you can do that. So try to not make mistakes in calculating these single numbers. Don't rely on calculators. So next time we ban calculator and formula sheet. Are you okay with that?
No.
Ban calculator.
Ban calculators and answers. So I don't care about your phones here, but I prefer that your calculators be there.
Baby steps. We start with taking away the formula.
Step by step, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we want to solve this. Let me ask you, what is y now? Can you tell me? What is y? Do you remember the formula? What is the formula? Just say it, yes. Okay.
So it will be 4, well, minus 4, which is.
Okay, so you are answering me. Okay, thank you. That's
Okay,
better.
one,
No, that's good. Minus 4 is
it's
4. And plus or minus which number?
The square root of
12
12.
divided by
2
Two.
times.
2 times 1, which is 2. Yes? Can I simplify this a little bit?
Yes.
Because that's a little bit unfortunate, yes? This is the number, this is the reason that you were not able to guess it. And we were not able to detect this very strange number by graphing. Yes? This is the exact value. It was a little bit how do you say it in English? Unguessable, yes? It was not possible that you can guess it immediately. But we can simplify this a little bit. Appreciate simplification. Simplification is an art in mathematics. You need to love it first, then you will learn it. If you hate it, you will never learn it. And I know that many people at university level hate calculations. Okay? I love calculations. So if you love it, you learn it. If you hate it, you will not learn it. But you also suffer it. Yes? That's the problem. Okay, now we want to simplify this. Am I allowed to simplify this 2 by 4? I should commit suicide.
Not
Say
just
yes. No, it's not possible. Yes, because this is a summand, not a factor. So, but I can do something with the square root of 12. Yes.
Square root of 4 and square root of 3.
3. Yes. So square root of 12 is a square root of 4 times 3, but then this becomes 2 square root of 3. Yes. 2 square root of 3 is better for us than the square root of 12. Yes. And then I replace it here, so it becomes 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 divided by 2. But I can factor a 2 out in the numerator. It becomes 2 plus or minus a square root of 3, and then divided by 2. These 2 and that 2 can be cancelled. Why? Because this 2 is now not a summand, it's a factor. If I ask you to read this, so for example, if I ask you to read this, you will say this is the sum of 4 and 2 square root of 3. But if you ask you to read this, you would say this is the product of 2 by that. So this 2 is a factor. This and that are gone. So let me clean this. And what I get here is y equals to 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. I got 2 answers. Am I done?
No.
No, because both of them are for y. And it was predictable. Yes? Because if you remember this picture, we had something like this. We had 2 points. This point has x and y. This point has another x and y. So it was predictable that we will get 2 values for y, not 1 value, yes? And we will get 2 values for x. These are the 2 values for y's. I haven't solved the system because these are the answers just for y. Yes?
Can you skip that step? Going from factorizing to the factorized form.
Yeah, in my exam, you can skip a lot of things. I really enjoy that.
Okay.
If the calculator is not allowed, because if you have one of these more advanced calculators, you can ask the calculator you can just punch this, and this will give you like GeoGebra the answers. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you maybe only forbid those advanced calculators, but allow basic calculators.
Usually, I really don't care about these things. I would. The first thing that I care about is that we can trust each other.
You trust me.
Yes. So, but then, of course, it is very hard to ban those calculators. So this means that I need to design a question in a way that those calculators are useless. Can you do it? Yes, that's possible. Yes. Okay, don't worry about these things. Just try to enjoy mathematics. So I have this one, but I haven't finished yet. So what is x then? I have 2 solutions for y, so I need to consider 2 cases. This one, you can put semicolon here, and the other one, 2 minus the square root of 3, semicolon here. So for each one of these values for x, you have to find a value for x. So for each value of y, you need to find a value for x. But this is the best way. Of course, you can use this. If you want to make trouble for yourself, you can use this. Okay? But let me use this. It's better. So x is equal to 4 minus. Do you agree with this way of writing?
No.
What is the flaw?
Brackets.
Yeah, thank you. Brackets. So
Exactly.
you see, you are improving your mathematics.
I'm
So-
amazing, actually.
Yeah. So every one of you can, but you need to like it, you know. And so you need to expand this, so it becomes 4 minus 2 minus the square root of 3, and then 4 minus 2 is 2 minus the square root of 3. Are you thinking that you are doing something extra? No, that was a coincidence and it was predictable. Do you remember Benjamin predicted that? If y and x are two answers, if I interchange them, there should be an answer, yes? So that is actually revealing itself in this calculation. So, and if I do this, I put x equals to, again, 4 minus 2 minus the square root of 3, and then it becomes 4 minus 2 plus the square root of 3, so it becomes 2 plus the square root of 3. So now can you help me to write the answer finally? What should I write for the answer? Answer to this system.
You need to give both x and y.
Okay, just tell me. Anyone?
Well, okay, y is 2 plus.
No, why do you start with y? Of course it is
Well,
good,
okay,
but
fine.
let us be organized, okay? X is equal to
2 minus square root of 3, and y equals to 2 plus square root of 3.
yes.
That's the first answer.
Changeable too.
The second one
Yeah.
is
The second one, what is this? What is this?
x
Connected.
another bracket,
What is the between the brackets?
or
Or, yes. And then
well, x equals to, I can't really, okay,
Yes,
yeah,
you
2
don't
plus,
need
exactly. Well, you know what should be
yes. And y is equal to 2 minus the square root of 3, and that's the end of the problem. Yes? The problem ends at this point. You have to write all of it. Okay, is that understandable? And I don't think it's hard at all. Why this is absent in your book, I don't know. Okay, so, but this is a system, it's not a standard system, but you see that method of elimination, the strategy was working here. Okay, let me discuss a little bit around this problem, because that's also good. First of all, let us see. There are some strange things might happen. Okay, I want to clean this first. I have already told you that you don't need to be worried. You don't have to use this to find x. It's easier. Okay, but we can also use this. But there would be a problem. Let us see what happens here. Because I told you it's not mandatory to use this, even though it's the most comfortable way to do that. But let us choose this one. For example, let me be a little bit naive and then use it. I'm saying it naive for the exam problem, but I'm saying it smart and wise because of learning mathematics. Yes. If I put y here, then what would be the problem? Let us see. I will have x, and then I put y, I got y. For example, just consider the first scenario. This is 2 plus the square root of 3 is equal to 1. First of all, tell me what x is.
x equals to, 1 divided by 2 plus root of 3.
Very good. Do you agree? This is the answer.
What did he say?
It shouldn't take any time for you to understand this, because you are scared a little bit about this. I am completely sure if I give you 2x is equal to 1, if I ask you what's the answer, you immediately tell 1 over 2, but you need to teach yourself. This is not my role. I'm just warning you about this. Why you can solve this, you cannot solve this, that's your problem, not mine. Yes? Because I'm just teaching you. This is the coefficient, that's the coefficient. You need to make x alone. Here, you want to make x alone, so you have to divide by 2. Here, you want to make x alone, I have to divide by this. Yes? So this is various things. You need to understand these are the same problems, but most of the time, you can answer one of them, you cannot answer the other one. You need to teach these things yourself. So x becomes 1 over 2 plus the square root of 3. Okay, if someone writes this in the exam, instead of this answer, should I give this point of this part to that person, or that is not correct?
Well,
Because at least you see that they are different, look different, yes?
they haven't given the y value.
No, the y value is this one. So
Okay.
let me write this one. I'm just talking about, can I change this part and write x equals to 1 over 2 plus the square root of 3 and y equals to 2 plus the square root of 3? And of course, I will solve the other part as well, but I'm just talking about this part. Is this correct instead of the first part of the previous answer?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
No.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Come on. Yes or no?
Yes. No.
Yeah, you see? Yes or no?
Yes. No. I don't
Yes
know.
or no?
Say no.
You keep asking.
Is this also correct or not?
It
It's a
is.
fraction. It's not
Is it an obligation?
It's correct.
You might get a fraction. What's the problem of fractions? Don't you like them? I like them. I don't like them either, but they are numbers. So, but I'm telling you, is instead of this part, of course, that person should also solve that part again, but assume that that person do the same thing there. And instead of writing this solution, write this solution. Do you think that this solution is also acceptable?
Yes.
Yes, you should say a big yes. If that is not the case, forget about mathematics. I need to look for another job. Yes, because mathematics cannot tolerate even one single inconsistency. If I am doing everything correct, but I am getting different answers, this is the meaning of inconsistency. Forget about that, okay? This cannot happen in mathematics. So what does it mean? So what is the conclusion? If you trust on mathematics, what can you conclude immediately?
That it works too.
Yeah, it works too. In other words,
It has the same equality. What do you want me to say?
if you know mathematics, you know what to say. I'm just guiding you through that step. So what do you think? What is the difference between this one and this one?
Nothing.
There should be nothing. There is a difference. If you put this in front of a kid, people can feel the difference between these two. But mathematically, they should be the same. Otherwise, we are facing inconsistency. But now, can you tell me why these two numbers are the same? So why this number is the same as this number? You see, you are learning a lot of things. I could have finalized the problem there, but you couldn't learn about these things. These are super important. So can you tell me why this number and that number are the same? This is the hunch, yes? We want to... If this is not the case, then we are in real trouble, because we have found two different answers using two different logical and legal methods. This means inconsistency. I want you to feel it. So it means that I am doing everything right in two different ways. This way is right, that way is right. I am getting two different answers. This means inconsistency. Yes? Why these two numbers are the same?
I'm a bit confused actually.
There is nothing to be confused. This is a number, that's a number. I'm asking you why these two numbers are the same, even though they don't look the same. If you don't believe, you can just took your calculator and calculate this. These two numbers are exactly equal.
Shouldn't 2 be negative also?
No? If 2 is negative, minus the square root of 3 is also negative.
Yeah.
So the right-hand side becomes negative.
Yeah.
But here 2 and square root of 3 are positive. 1 over, so this is a positive number, this is a negative number, they cannot be equal. Yes?
Because of the power.
Because of?
The power.
Elaborate more, I don't see any connection.
I mean, like 2 minus the square root of 3 when you set to the power of negative. I think that you will get that fraction.
Yes, of course, yes. But there is no, you are cheating a little bit by words. You are telling that's correct. So even, yes, you are right. This should be also this, otherwise we are in trouble again. Yes? But how can I see this is equal to that? Do we have any rule that this -1 can go for the middle one? We don't have that rule, yes? So that's the problem. I don't believe that you cannot say why they are the same.
Yeah.
Why they are the same?
Because they are.
Let me ask you one thing. So if I tell you two numbers, the product of two numbers is equal to 1, what can you conclude about x and y relative to each other? They are?
They are interchangeable.
What do you mean by interchangeable? No, what is the relation between x and y? If the product, yes?
They're the inverse of each other.
Yes. They are inverse of each other, yes? If two numbers multiplied by each other is equal to 1, they are inverses of each other, yes? Here, I want to show that the inverse of this number is equal to this number. So instead of doing that, multiply them. So multiply this by that. If the answer is equal to 1, so it means that they are reciprocal of each other. They are inverses. But why this is equal to 1? This is the conjugate identity. Yes? So it becomes 4 minus 3. And that is equal to 1. So the reason that, so it means that this is also completely acceptable. If you write 1 over 2 plus the square root of 3, that's the same number as 2 minus the square root of 3. You have to be very quick in understanding these things. Okay? Is that understandable? Is still not? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So which one is easier? I would say that this is easier to work than this one. So I would prefer to write this if this is also true. So one thing that I want to mention, this is exactly the same thing. You can use whatever you like, but because we want to do a lot of things with hand and we are humans, we are not like computers very fast, so it is better to be wise and choose the correct one to facilitate our work. Yes, this is one way. Another way, you started from here. Could you start from here for elimination?
Yeah.
In principle, yes. Okay? In principle, yes. Let us just do that, because this will also teach you something. You started elimination from the first equation. Let me start elimination from the second equation. Can you tell me what should I do? Anyone else? Yes?
Divide by y.
Divide by y. Am I allowed to divide by y?
Yes, you are.
Why? No, you should be careful. When you are dividing by a parameter, yes, you should be careful about one point, what that point is.
That it could be a negative and a positive.
No,
No?
that is for inequalities.
All right.
This is equality. You said that I divide by y. I agree with you. I want to do the same thing. But if you know mathematics, you need to be careful when you divide.
If it's 0,
Yes,
it works.
it shouldn't be 0.
But it can be 0 since it's equal to 1.
Exactly. So it's very important. It is guaranteed, even though I don't know what x and what y is, what they are, but I know that neither of them is 0. Because if one of them is 0, the product is 0, not equal to 1. So it means that I am on the safe side if I want to divide by y. Be careful about these points. Okay? And then let me put this equation here. So just solve it for me now. Instead of x, I put 1 over y. Instead of y, I have to put y equals to 4. Then I have to solve this equation. Is this equation simpler than the previous equation? No, because I have a fraction involved. So this is why that is up to you to decide which one is more efficient. How do you solve this equation? This is a Math 1C problem again. And I have a famous phrase, more famous than the by convention, yes? I have two phrases probably in your class, by convention, and the other one is?
Well, I think I know you hate fractions.
That's my phrase, yes? So I am telling you this for some reason. When you say fraction, just get rid of the fraction, yes? So you multiply by y. If you multiply by y, it becomes 1. It becomes y squared. It becomes 4y. But do you agree this is the same equation again? If I move it here, it's equal to 0, and that is exactly the equation that gave rise to these two solutions. So that's also possible. So what I'm saying, it was not very hard in this case. That's completely okay because the equation was simple. But if you don't notice about these, I don't know, nuance, you say, small differences, it's very, very important to care about these things. Because if the problem is a little bit hard, and if you don't care about each step, you are accumulating something hard on your back. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of things on your back and you cannot overcome with them. So be careful. Try to learn computation. Computation is a very powerful method. So you need to enjoy and learn that. Okay. Anyway, so I don't think that's a good time to start the new lesson, so I will spend Friday on finalizing this lesson. But of course, this way of learning mathematics is, I think, more instructive because, of course, either you start loving it or you start hating mathematics and me together. Okay, but I don't care about the second part. I'm just caring about the first part.
We could never hit you, Bob.
Okay, that's very kind of you. Anyway, I can stop here, and I will just teach you. I wish that I could use GeoGebra for that equation, but unfortunately, if I want to use GeoGebra here on Friday, I don't think it's very constructive or instructive. So, because do you remember I told you, let me test your memory a little bit. So did you remember when I was talking about this equation, for example? So if I ask you about this equation in 2 dimensions, what is the graph of this function? Finished? A straight line. Thank you. Okay, it's working. Yes. What is the graph of this? Do you remember I was talking about how many axes do we need here? 3. Okay, so I need 3 axes, x and y and z. And if you draw this by GeoGebra, I did it for you. I don't know how much do you remember. Do you remember what was the graph of this? And I was facing a trouble. I was saying that why GeoGebra is drawing it in that way. You need to trust me on that.
What was the shape?
It was a shape, of course. That's a very general answer, but we're more specific than that. Yes.
It's in 3 dimensions. Like
Yeah, it is in 3 dimensions. But what shape in 3 dimensions?
Like a plateau. Is that a shape?
Plane.
It's a plane. That would be a flat plane. Yes. And it means that if you are solving an equation of 3 of these equations in 3 unknowns, you are considering the intersection of 3 planes in a space. Okay. So you are thinking in that way. I wish I could use GeoGebra to show it to you. I don't know because the Friday is very short. But anyway, this means that is very hard. Do you agree? It's much harder than 2 lines because 2 lines are either parallel, no intersection points, or what? On a plane, or they are intersecting exactly at one single point, or they exactly lie on top of each other. There are infinitely many points. But the situation here is more complicated because I have 3 planes, and there are many the ways that you need to consider. Might be I can bring you the graph. So, for example, you can have 3 planes. These 2 planes, they intersect in a line, and another plane is passing through them. There are infinitely many points. You can have 3 parallel planes, no intersection points. 2 of them can be parallel. The third one can be intersecting. By the way, what's that one? What is the answer to this? If I have 2 parallel lines, I don't know how to draw them. Anyway, so let me just show it to you. So if you have 2 parallel one, and then you have another plane intersecting these 2, cutting this one and the one below. How many solutions are there? How many intersection points? How many points are on all of them simultaneously?
it's touching 1.
No, not touching. This is a plane. By the way, this is not good plane. Plane goes to infinity from all directions. Okay, this is the same. This is the same. But now I am saying that assume that this plane is cutting this one and goes and cut this one. Okay, and then I am asking you how many points you can see which lies on the 3 planes simultaneously in this situation.
0.
0.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very good because 2 of them have infinitely many intersections. 2 of them again have infinitely many intersections, but you cannot find a point that is lying on all these 3 planes simultaneously. So it means that there are no solutions. Okay, so I will try to bring that picture so that you can see all possibilities of 3 planes in a space. And the good news is that it is very strange, but it is a good news. Do you remember for a system of 2 equations in 2 unknowns, we either have no solutions, 1 solution, or infinitely many. And that is the same even in 3 dimensions. That's a very nice property, yes? Even though we have a lot of different possibilities this time, but you will see that there are only 3 possibilities, the same possibilities. Either there is 1 answer, or 0 answer, 1 answer, or suddenly infinitely many answers. Okay? And this B is the same if you go to higher dimensions, but unfortunately in higher dimensions, algebra only works. Geometry loses the way that it was used to. We were used to, because if I go to one more variable, why this is geometry is limiting in this case?
Because there are
Because we
fourth
can
dimensions.
visualize it.
Visualize it because of we need one more axis, yes, which is perpendicular to this tree. But as far as we know, this world is three-dimensional. If a string theory is not correct, if that's correct, then there are 10 dimensions of space, yes, and 1 dimension of time. Okay. Okay, so good. This is, I hope that you learned what is going on. You need to review and repeat a lot of things. Okay. Thank you very much. By the way, I hesitated to say it up to this point. If you like the video, like it. And if you don't like it, dislike it. Okay? No, if you don't never dislike, please like it.
Okay.
Because the robots on YouTube work in this way. If you have more likes, this will be proposed to many more people. And I am doing it totally for free. Okay? So at least this is what I expect you. Like or this. No, this is dislike, this is like. Yes. Don't get confused.
I like the videos.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Oh, look, I always like every video.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you do. Thank you. So don't forget,